Peace and greetings. This is Artist. I want to talk really quickly about thoughts and thinking. Okay, thoughts and thinking. Those are two totally different things. Okay, we as human beings create the thinking. We think about the thoughts. Okay, the thoughts come from somewhere else. The thoughts come from the ether. They come from the spirit realm. They come from your higher self. They come from God. She gives us messages. Thinking is our attempt at understanding the thoughts. And a lot of times, the thinking messes it up. We we overthink and we think, period, and we mess it up. Okay. For instance, you are about to go outside. Something tells you, "Hey, grab an umbrella," but you look outside. You're like, "It's not. There's no rain. Weather report says there's no rain. Why would I grab an umbrella? It doesn't make any sense." You go out about your day, in the middle of the day, it starts pouring down rain out of nowhere. What do you say to yourself? Man, something told me to get an umbrella. That something was your higher self. You ignored it because it didn't make sense to your thinking mind. Okay? It didn't make sense to the thinking mind. The thought came, right? Get the umbrella. Instead of just getting the umbrella, taking it with you and walking off, you had to rationalize it. You had to think about it like, why would I get an umbrella? I don't need an umbrella. It's not raining. There's nowhere that you're doing all this thinking about it. Just grab the umbrella. Something told you to grab the umbrella. Something is God. Something is your higher self, right? When you say something told me to do that, that's what it is. It's your higher self. It's God. It's the thought. It's not the thinking. So remember, we do not generate thought. Thought comes to us. We generate the thinking behind the thought, the overthinking behind the thought, right? That thought is your intuition. And you need to work on tapping into that intuition, right? Stopping your thinking. Now that may sound counterintuitive. Like, what do you mean, artist? You want me to not think? That doesn't make any sense. No, I'm not saying. I'm saying, say, I have a goal. I have something that I want to accomplish, and I have to think about it. I have to think about the steps to take to do the thing. So, what do you mean, don't think? That doesn't make sense. I have a goal I'm trying to accomplish, and you're telling me not to think. Doesn't make sense to me. No, but it does make sense. Okay. Here's the situation. Here's what you do. Right. You have a goal. You have something that you want to accomplish. Don't sit and think about the mechanism of the watch, of the movements. Don't think about how does this do this? How does that do that? Don't think about how don't think about how it's going to happen. Don't think about what you need to do in order to make it happen. And so you have the goal that you're trying to achieve, right? And so you have the goal in front of you. You know what the goal is, and what you do is you draw a picture in your mind of whatever it is that you want to try to accomplish, whatever it is that you're working towards, right? Just say, for instance, that you're working towards opening a coffee shop. Say you say, okay, I'm going to open. You want to open a coffee shop, right? That's your goal, to open a coffee shop. So put in your mind and a picture of the coffee shop. Sit down and imagine it. Write it out. The coffee shop looks like this. When you first walk into the coffee shop, when you look to the left, you see this. When you look all the way to the back, you see this. When you look to the right, you see this. Draw a whole picture in your mind. Write it out. Look at it. Study it. Right? This is your coffee shop. Keep the thought of the coffee shop in your mind, what it looks like. Live in the coffee shop and don't try to figure out how you're going to do it. You have drawn the picture of the coffee shop in your mind, you've written it out, you know what the coffee shop is going to look like, right? And then you are not thinking about how you're going to open the coffee shop, how you're going to get the resources to open the coffee shop. You're just focusing, thinking about the coffee shop, but you're still going about your day, doing your daily routine, doing your things. But that coffee shop is in your subconscious mind. Something will happen. Someone will come to you, somebody will say something to you, someone will offer you something that will be directly related to what you need in order to start to build that coffee shop. And keep in mind that it's going to sometimes it's things that you don't think that will be helpful to you. Okay, it's like if you ever seen the Karate Kid, the first Karate Kid, uh, the teacher, Mr. Miyagi, had Daniel uh, wash his cars. Right, this is a great example. He had him wash his cars, and but what he did was he had him wash the cars in a specific way. He said, you know, he was washing the car, and Mr. Miyagi said, no, 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 I want you to wash it like this. And Daniel was like, he's scrubbing. He's like, no, 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 wash it like this. And he was washing them. And every once in a while, you come by, no, wash it like this. And he had like 3 or 4 cars. And so he washed and waxed all of the cars. And he made sure that he washed and waxed and he moved his hand in a certain way. So you always want to move your hand in this certain way. At the end of the day, you know, Daniel has no clue what's going on. He doesn't know what's being done to him, right? He doesn't know that he's training. So at the end of the day, he gets a little frustrated with Mr. Miyagi. He's like, man, you know, I and he had him also paint his fence, and he was painting, and so he was like, he had him do specific hand movements when he's painting the fence, and so at the end of the day, he was like, um, why you having me? You having me clean your, you like paint your fence and wash your cars? He's like, this is BS. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm done. He's like, you're supposed to be teaching me karate because that's what he wanted. He wanted to learn. He wanted to learn karate. He's like, you're supposed to be teaching me karate, but you got me doing all this other bullshit. No, I'm leaving. And so Mr. Miyagi says, hold up, come here. And he's like, show me wax on, wax off. And so he's like, no, show me wax on, wax off. So he shows him, and then Mr. Miyagi starts throwing punches, and then Daniel shows him the wax on, wax off situation, and he blocks the punch. Paint the fence, boom, blocks the punch. So Mr. Miyagi had been giving him had trained him in certain defense techniques without him knowing about it, right? He put it into his subconscious mind. So when it happened, it was an automatic reaction, right? And that's kind of what happens when we receive these thoughts from the ether, from the great mother. When we get these thoughts, it's like, oh, wait a minute. Why am I doing? Why am I getting this thought? Why am I supposed to paint this fence for 3 hours? Right? It's because it's setting you up for something else. And when you're in line, when you're in tune, when you're like, okay, coffee shop, that's my, I don't care what happens, coffee shop is what I'm doing, you'll be okay with the thing that seems odd. You'll be like, wait a minute, this it seems kind of off, but it may have something to do with the coffee shop. The thought came to me to do this because you've been doing your meditation, you've been sitting, intuition's coming, telling you to do this particular thing, and you know that this particular thing is going to get you closer to your coffee shop, even if it doesn't seem like it at its face value. Right? So, thoughts, thinking. Try not to think too much about your thoughts.